What happens when the world forgets the great Tao? Virtue appears, but it's hollow. Kindness arises, but is calculated. Family love is preached, but harmony is lost. Loyalty is demanded, but the nation crumbles. Chapter 18 exposes the bitter truth the moment we lose the way. Everything we chase, morality, justice, even love, becomes its own shadow. Stay with me and let's face the mirror together. All right, chapter 18, Decay of the Tao. When the great Tao decays, benevolence and righteousness come into being. When intelligence and wisdom come to the fore, great hypocrisy arises. When the six bonds are out of kilter, filial devotion and compassion arise. When the nation is in tumult, loyalty of the subject arises. All right, let's dive into the Rivermaster's commentary from the John Minford version of the Tao Te Ching. When the great Tao prevails, children feel a natural sense of devotion to their parents, genuine loyalty and trust, true benevolence, and true righteousness abound. When the great Tao decays, then resentment and rebellion prevail. Then false benevolence and false righteousness abound. Rulers of false intelligence and wisdom have no respect for inner power, but set great store on words. They think little of substance and set great store on appearance. Rulers such as these cause their subjects to respond with hypocrisy and deceit. When the Tao decays, when the six natural bonds of family are broken and the six natural threads of community are torn, then relatives and friends no longer live in the natural harmony. Then false devotion and insincere compassion abound. When the great Tao prevails, false virtues disappear like stars which fade when the sun is fully risen. Wow. 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 This is, when you think about this one, and you live in the United States of America, you can't help but think, man, have we lost our way a little bit? Has the Tao decayed here a little bit? Seems like it may be. And I would say social media has fed that fire of decay, breaking the familial bonds, if I could say that right, breaking down community and this sense of that we're in this together. You're just seeing this societal breakdown throughout the Western world, and it's sad to watch. And this is why learning about the Tao Te Ching and the spirit, the human spirit, and what makes it stronger, which is knowing thyself and doing this in-depth work, helps to reform those bonds. Because if you practiced Taoism, and I don't mean it religiously, I mean it like if you practice just the concepts and the ideas of being focused on purifying the self experience, the higher self experience, and letting go of the ridiculousness of physical reality, the dramas, the out of control emotions. And if you start to shift towards service before self, which means letting the ego drop away and really focus on helping, how you can help other people. And it's not necessarily has to be some grandiose idea of how you can help. It can be simple as I was driving home from getting an oil change this morning and literally saw a gentleman outside with a pair of rubber gloves picking up glass that had broken on the street. And I thought, this guy is getting it. He is being of service in a small, maybe might appear as an insignificant way, but just that little bit of that example that he was setting by going out and picking up glass that probably he didn't break, but he saw a need for him to go do that, and he went out and got his gloves, and he's out there picking up little pieces of glass in the road. It is a fantastic example of how little things that you do in the world, while may seem insignificant to you in the moment, may have a huge, tremendous impact on people as a whole. In fact, think about that gentleman. He's out on the road. He's picking up glass. He's not thinking about that somebody's going to observe him and then talk about it on a video that's going to have maybe a bigger and wider impact in the world. His one action has already had a chain reaction of positive effect, including this moment right here, right now. And from this point on, if somebody else watches this and they hear this story and they think, wow, shoot, if I go out and hey, let me be of service in this moment, then this chain reaction, this ripple effect happens out, and it's a beautiful, beautiful idea. And this is how we bring society back into wholeness, because we as individuals are living in alignment and in wholeness, and we're following the flow of the Tao. And the Tao, so the Tao Te Ching is giving us the ancient, the Far East terminology for what the Western world would know as spirit, right? So if you want to exchange the word Tao for spirit, by all means, it's the same idea. This is what Jesus was talking about: service, love thy neighbor as thyself, service to others. This is a core tenet in the New Testament and in the Christian religion as a whole. So if Christianity is the way you view the world, that's cool, that's okay. This just gives you another perspective or re-emphasis on the fact that the world needs people like to integrate themselves completely and to become this positive force for change in the world. Because otherwise, the alternative is, and we're watching it happen. I mean, if you look at the family in the Western world is broken. I mean, we have divorce rates north of 50%. That means that most, 1 out of every 2 kids is growing up without one parent in the household, or with a single parent in the household. And without both parents in the household, it does create this dissonance in the children, because they're getting either just the feminine or just the masculine side of life, and you really need to have an understanding of both. And if you don't, it can create issues. And listen, I am speaking hypocritically, because unfortunately, my kids are living in somewhat of a broken home at this point, right? I don't live with them. I have, my ex-wife and I are obviously divorced, and that weighs on me for sure. That I'm not in their day-to-day lives. It is a tough thing to go through for them, and I realize, and I try to make sure that I make up for that, but I know that obviously not being there day to day does have an impact, right? So I'm not immune to this, was what I'm saying, and while none of us are perfect, we can be better, right, than that. This last part of the River Master and is, he says, when the great Tao prevails, false virtues disappear like stars which fade when the sun is fully risen. And this is like basically this coming together, and it's not too late. It's never too late, right? The Tao is always present. We just need more folks to start to think about it and to integrate it into their daily lives. So, hey, if this episode resonated with you, please like and subscribe to the channel. Again, this is the Boundless Sovereign YouTube channel, where we focus on raising the mirror up for folks to be able to see themselves truly, and then to integrate wholeness within themselves and in their lives, and to have that positive ripple effect out into the world, as we discussed in this chapter. So thank you so much for listening, and we certainly appreciate you here at the channel. We will see you in chapter 19.